All right, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on TV47 Weekend Edition. These are the stories making headlines tonight. Tonight, President Ruto calls on parents to raise their children in good morals to avoid cases of femicide reported in the country.
Kabla ya watoto kuwa wahalifu, tafadhali sisi kama wazazi tuwashughulikie.
Also tonight, former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i's move to interact with Kenyans raises political questions as he plans his 2027 game plan. Plus, Meru political leaders now claims to be left out of the national political map.
Our people are not happy. They are saying even if no minister was appointed, even an ambassador, how come even no ambassador has been appointed in this group?
And we also speak to Kirinyaga Governor Waiguru on her reflection of 2024. Welcome to this live broadcast. Calvin Makori is our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is Odida, and of course, as always, we're live on our social media platforms at TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, at TV47 News KE on X. The hashtag is Weekend Edition. Let's get started. Now, President William Ruto has called upon parents to instill morals and values to their children and ensure they get a decent upbringing to help curb rising cases of crime and immorality in the society, including the surge of femicide cases in the country. Samira Mohammed opens our bulletin with that report.
President William Ruto has urged parents and communities to address what he described as the moral issue underlying violence, crime and the surge of femicide cases witnessed in the country. President Ruto has called upon parents to instill morals and values in their children's upbringing, noting that the government cannot assume the role of parents in shaping the moral character of their children.
Watoto wetu hawa tumepatiwa na Mungu ni baraka. Na mtu akikupatia, Mungu akikupatia baraka ya watoto, take time na wale watoto hawa, washughulikie, wasomeshe, wafundishe, kama ni Quran ama Biblia ama dini yoyote, ili wasipotee.
Advocating for a comprehensive approach that addresses the root causes of the increased crime rate witnessed in the country without shifting blame, the president emphasized that government intervention alone would not be sufficient.
Na wauliza parents, najua serikali, kazi ya serikali ni kupambana na wahalifu, lakini wale wahalifu ni watoto wametoka kwa manyumba zetu. Kabla ya watoto kuwa wahalifu, tafadhali sisi kama wazazi tuwashughulikie, tuwatunze, tuwafundishe, tuwalee vizuri. Tutapunguza kwa kiasi kikubwa wale ambao tunapambana nao kama wahalifu. Kama wazazi sote tungechukua nafasi yetu, tuwafundishe hawa watoto, tuwachunge vizuri.
The head of state assured that while the government will provide education, healthcare and other essential services, it will also intervene to address the rising cases of crime to protect public interest when children are threatened or they stray into criminal activities.
Serikali inaweza kushughulikia watoto wetu, masomo ya watoto wetu, afya ya watoto wetu na kazi zingine. Lakini pale mtoto akisha kosa barabara, wale ambao tunapambana na wao ni wahalifu.
Samira Mohammed for TV47 Nairobi.
Meanwhile, a section of political leaders from Meru region now feels left out in the recent government appointments led by former governors Kiraitu Murungi and Peter Munya. The leaders say the community will hold a meeting of its leaders next year to chart their political future. Take a look.
Just days after President William Ruto announced changes in the cabinet, and leaders from Meru region now claims to have been left out, former governors Kiraitu Murungi and Peter Munya are now accusing President Ruto of leaving their community out of the equation.
Are tired from being taken for granted. Meru people do not to be political nomads anymore. Meru people want to be treated equally with the other people, with the other ethnic blocks, because we have a right to be in this country just like the Kikuyus have a right. We have a right to be in this country just like the Luos have a right, and we have a right to be in this country just like Kalenjins, have also a right to be there. So we are not asking to be favored more than the others, but what we are against is being discriminated against.
Munya took to his social media giving a story of a farmer who said to all his sheep that there is a foreign buyer coming to buy all of you, but one sheep was left during the purchase only for the ship to sink while on the transit. Munya in his post says that indeed rejection is a blessing in disguise.
Time has come for Meru to walk in the middle of the road. Time has come for Meru to be in the map like other communities in the country. Time has come for us to chart our own destiny as a community.
Kiraitu says the region will have a meeting of all its leaders next year to chart their way forward as a community. Murungi's concerns center on a perceived marginalization of Meru, highlighting that the community has not been considered for appointments such as ambassadorial positions.
Next year, we are going to have a mega meeting of all the Meru leaders, of all from the church, from politics, from farmers, from teachers, and we ask ourselves, what is the curse of Meru? And then we address that curse. And it's very simple to say the final decision, the final political decision of Meru people will be made after all these holidays next year, and after we have seen how we are being treated by the High Court.
Former Senator Mithika Linturi had been appointed to the cabinet but was shown the door in the first cabinet reshuffle. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, now former Interior Cabinet Secretary serving under former President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, Fred Matiang'i, quiet but loud politically, returned to the country a few days ago from the United States of America, where he has been since 2022, setting in motion his presidential bid. Matiang'i, in the country for just a week, is reportedly to have held a series of engagements. On Friday, he made his first public appearance, creating a buzz among locals of Kitui after making stopovers along the Kitui-Machakos Road. Moige William with the details.
Reportedly flying back to the country this week, former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has had a busy week with his tray full of engagements. Matiang'i's first public appearance was in Kitui, where he was in attendance of a burial ceremony to a family member of one of his long-serving aides. After the interment event, Matiang'i made several stopovers along the Kitui-Machakos Road, taking time to engage with locals. In politics, nothing happens by accident. Matiang'i's interaction with traders in a relaxed manner is seen as a gesture that might endear him to Kenyans, probably setting in motion his 2027 presidential bid. Considered as President Uhuru close confidant, Matiang'i is reported to have also made similar stopovers in Narok County earlier in the week. Thursday, he also met a number of individuals, including the former president of the Kenya Chamber of Commerce, Kiprono Kitoni, in moves considered as strategies of preparing to return to the political arena with plans to run for the presidency in the 2027 elections. Also, in recent developments, the United Progressive Alliance Party, UPA, has officially endorsed Matiang'i as its presidential candidate for the 2027 elections. During a National Executive Committee meeting in Nyamira on Wednesday, UPA Secretary General Jacob Bagaka hinted on the party's likely decision to settle on the Doctor of Communication as the party's presidential flag bearer.
We are a party to watch. UPA iko na candidate mwanzilishi wa chama hii anaitwa Fred Okengo Matiang'i. Ni mtu ambaye akona sifa mzuri Kenya mzima, alipatiwa uwaziri wa education na akabadilisha mambo mengi ambayo kila mtoto ambaye amegrow saa hii anaona ya kwamba waziri alifanya kazi. Na wakati atakapokuja na kusimama na hii chama kubwa, chama ya UPA, ile ya UDA nafikiri itafunga virago na yende nyumbani.
Matiang'i is also reportedly said to have held extensive talks with the top political brasses within the South Nyanza region, such as former Kisii Governor James Ongwae. Previously, Matiang'i was reported to have enlisted the services of the renowned Canadian firm Dickens and Madson to advocate for his candidacy. Mwigi William, TV47.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you, Moige, for that report. Now, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has recalled House Committee from races to vet recently nominated cabinet secretaries. The committees will be required to submit their reports before the 15th of January 2025.
The committees have been recalled from recess to vet the recently nominated cabinet secretaries. The committees will be required to submit their report on the vetting of the nominees by 15th of January the year 2025. This follows messages sent by the President to the National Assembly through the Speaker, notifying him of fresh nominations for Cabinet Secretary appointments. The nominees include Mutahi Kagwe for the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Lee Kenyanjui for the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, and William Kabogo for the Ministry of Information, Communications and the Digital Economy. Through a statement, the Speaker of the National Assembly has instructed all members to prepare for the vetting process. Nominees for Cabinet Secretary positions will be vetted by the Committee on Appointments, chaired by the Speaker. Nominees for High Commissioners, Ambassadors, Permanent Representatives and Consuls General will be revealed by the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, led by Belgut MP Nelson Koech. Meanwhile, nominees for Vice Chairperson and members of the Public Service Commission will be vetted by the Departmental Committee on Labour. If approved, Mutahi Kagwe will replace Andrew Karanja, who has been appointed as ambassador to Brazil. Lee Kenyanjui will replace Salim Mvurya, who has been reshuffled to the Ministry of Sports, previously held by Kipchumba Murkomen, while William Kabogo will replace Margaret Nyambura Ndungu, who has been appointed as High Commissioner to Accra, Ghana. Other nominees awaiting vetting include High Commissioners, Ambassadors, Permanent Representatives, Consuls General, and Vice Chairpersons and members of the Public Service Commission. Ruga Evil, TV47.
President William Ruto's government, through the State Department for Labour and Skills Development, has advised Kenyans working in foreign countries to save and invest in the country for future purposes once their contracts expire. Labour PS Shadrach Mwadime says his ministry is keen to develop a national skills inventory that will help match available job opportunities abroad with those in the country in order to address unemployment cases, as Mike Kagwongo reports.
With Kenyans working from abroad being able to remit close to more than 600 billion shillings to Kenya's government, the Ministry of Labour is providing further suggestions to increase the 5% remittance amount to 10% to provide them with a good saving platform that would help them after expiry of their contracts.
No.
State Department for Labour and Skills Development PS Shadrach Mwadime said it was necessary for Kenyans working abroad to inculcate a saving culture for future purposes.
For us as government, we're working together with the Kenya Investment Authority very, very closely to come up with an attractive package for them so that their return on investment can be as high as possible.
Noting that the unemployment rate in the country is very high, he affirmed that the Kenya Kwanza administration is deliberate in ensuring it is substantially reduced through creating a conducive environment within the economy where investors can invest their resources.
So this is a deliberate strategy that we've come up with. Indeed, we even have a strategy on skills development for labor mobility, because we want our young people to be as employable as possible. They should not undertake courses that at the end of it, they cannot be assured of employment.
This as education stakeholders led by Peace League Africa CEO Hassan Kenywa pleaded with government to initiate laws that would regulate Kenyans working abroad, with language barrier mentioned as the most effective causes of violence against Kenyans abroad.
Si kwa ati Wasaudi ni wabaya, ni kwa sababu watu hawajui lugha. Kwa hivyo serikali ya Kenya iweke sheria, hakuna mtu anafaa kwenda kufanya nchi ya nje kama hajui ile lugha. Na hiyo ni sheria iko kwa nchi kadhaa, lakini nchi za Waarabu hawajaweka sheria. Kwa hivyo iweko sheria ni NEA.
Advisor of the President on Women's Rights, Harriet Chigai, while addressing the media, said in its effort to mitigate teenage pregnancy in the country, the government spent close to 7 billion shillings advising all stakeholders to take their rightful place in the society to control the menace.
If we are able as a community to check and protect our young girls, the 6.9 billion, let me say 7 billion Kenya shillings that is going to deliver young children to children can actually be pushed in other activities like the labor market or education or investments or the youth. So this calls for all of us Kenyans to take our rightful place in our society and protect our women and children.
The government recently called for legislation to regulate social media, as it has been used to perpetrate some of the recent cases. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, thank you, Mike Kagwenga, for that report. Let's now shift to business news. Now, close to 500,000 small-scale farmers borrowed 6.7 billion Kenyan shillings from the Cherry Advance Revolving Fund, with the 7 Mount Kenya region counties enjoying close to 60% of the funds, according to the new Kenya Planters Cooperative Union. Loan advancements to farmers increased by 500% from mid-November 2023 to December this year. This comes just days after former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua demanded for the full funds to be released for accountability.
Of the 800,000 coffee farmers in the country, almost 500,000 have accessed the Cherry Advance Revolving Fund, according to the new KPCU, a number the government says justifies the scheme. 7 counties from Mount Kenya have, as at December 2024, borrowed 4 billion shillings of the total amount disbursed through the Cherry Fund, accounting for 59% of the total 6.7 billion shillings. Nyeri County topped the list of beneficiaries with 82,927 coffee growers, followed by Kirinyaga County with 99,258 farmers as beneficiaries of 845.6 million shillings. Since the beginning of the 2024-2025 coffee year in October, 81,745 farmers have borrowed 1.182 billion shillings, as Kirinyaga County leads in the last 3 months, as 27,368 farmers borrowed 267 million shillings, followed by Kiambu County with 194 million shillings borrowed, and Machakos County with 170 million shillings borrowed, and Embu County at 112.3 million. The loan recovery, which has so far recorded zero default, is, according to the new KPCU Managing Director Timothy Mwirugi, largely pushed by a lack of conditionality, especially for small-scale farmers. Last month, Mwirugi confirmed the National Treasury and Planning released new KPCU 750 million shillings, with the balance of 2.25 billion shillings expected to be extended in every quarter of the current financial year. Hibak Said for TV47.
The Kenya Bureau of Standards, KEBS, Directorate of Criminal Investigation and the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, among others, have unearthed an illegal cement cartel involved in the manufacture and sale of counterfeit and substandard cement while conducting a market surveillance. During the operation targeting the hotspots of these illegal activities in Athi River, Syokimau and Kitengela, 13 suspects were arrested and will be arraigned in court to face charges related to the illegal activities. 8 trucks were intercepted while loaded with the siphoned, adulterated and repackaged bags of cement from major brands. Blueband has partnered with Cape Media Limited with an aim to create and raise awareness on their Blueband with Choco through an activation campaign held in Nairobi. The activation involved free sampling of the Choco Blueband to create a direct interaction and engagement with potential customers and to drive sales. Kenyans stand out in large numbers to sample the product and express their views and had the opportunity to walk away with a giveaway bag.
It is wow, just perfect. Apart from the other blue bands, I think this is the best one. Today I've tried this Choco Blue Band. Okay, it's my first time. From the taste, very delicious. Inanikumbusha ile time ile mix ya high school kama natengeneza skari blue band. So instead of taking to go to just take the Choco Blue Band. It's very sweet. You should try it.
It's my first time to try and it's super dope. I've never seen it again. I've seen Blue Band Choco. I've sampled the choco.
All right, with that, we take a very fast short break at this point. Of course, so much more lined up for you, so stay with us.
This December, learn about safety precautions to take into consideration this season.
If you can remember, if you drive on a motorcycle often, to make sure that you have a helmet, it's key to decreasing the severity of the accidents.
If you are passing in a bus from Kakamega to Mombasa, in between, just stand up, stretch your legs, and even when you are seated, keep pumping your feet, keep moving your feet to avoid that long stasis of blood in the veins.
Healthier options for you to maintain a balanced lifestyle amid the holiday hustle.
Eating healthy really doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself, but we really just have to factor on how to strike a balance. Portion control and moderation are very key. Let us enjoy the season, and at the same time, let us try to watch our health and our well-being.
Happy holidays.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
And stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwa watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching TV47 Weekend Edition. Let's continue with our coverage. Now, she's serving her second term as the governor of Kirinyaga County, and Mombi Waiguru, ahead of the nomination of Professor Kithure Kindiki as the country's third deputy president. Waiguru's name was prominent. TV47's George Maringa had a chat with Waiguru in this interview as she reflects back on 2024.
Indeed, as the year comes to a close, we are delighted to have a conversation with the Governor of County 020, that is Anne Waiguru. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, Madam Governor.
Thank you for having me.
And it is your second term mid your second term, and it has been a tumultuous journey when you look at how things have panned out from the start of the term to this second one. I'd like you to look at 2024 in the context of the two terms, how the previous years have been ending for you, and what has perhaps been the different, both on the high side and on the low side for 2024 for you.
I think at the county level, 2024 has been an okay year, right? Nationally, it's been a tougher year, but at the county level, it's been an okay year. On the lower side, one of our lowest moments in Kirinyaga is when we lost our 17 people because of illicit brew. And many people lost their eyesight, and that was a challenging time for us as a county. But on the upper side, in Kirinyaga, we have made strides in our development agenda. We are focusing on work, the work speaking for itself. We have gotten fully operational our level 5 hospital. We've increased our medical human resource. We have built our 20 health centers, and about to open about 4 more from the 14 already opened. And we are upgrading our level 3 hospitals in Kirinyaga and Kimbimbi and Sagana. And we're generally improving the service when it comes to healthcare to our people. In infrastructure development, we have continued to upgrade our towns. In addition to what we've done in putting Kabro in Kagio and Waiguru and Kirinyaga and Kirowea, we added now Kagumo and Sagana. And we can say confidently that our towns look much better. We're building our fire station that hasn't been there, a modern fire station, and equipping it with new engines to be able to respond quickly to adversity caused by fire outbreaks. In terms of our Wezesha agriculture program, we have improved productivity of our farmers, whether it is rice. We used to do 1 season, we're doing 2 seasons. Their incomes have increased. We're ensuring that they're selling their rice and they're getting paid. We have improved our fortunes for our coffee farmers and our tea farmers in Kirinyaga. We have expanded incomes for our farmers with dairy production and avocado growing, tomato value chain as well, set up propagation centers. And I don't even know whether you know that we have increased our production of fish with our fish ponds from about 2 tons to 7 tons, and opened a special market in Kirinyaga for fish only. We have a fish market in Kirinyaga, and people are beginning to consume and diversify their diets. And this is informed even from our health side, because we had seen a trend where we were getting an increase in lifestyle diseases. And we are getting, I think, we were beginning to go up. I think we're leading in obesity. And so we started diversifying produce and changing menus. And we are eating a lot more fish in Kirinyaga. That also is an added income to many of our farmers. So in terms of The development agenda in Kirinyaga, work is continuing. Infrastructure development, we have marramed over 1,000 kilometers of road. And we continue to improve service delivery in Kirinyaga. So on the positive side, work has continued. Markets, we have built 18 with our county money, with the latest one being Kenya, India, which will be opening in January. And we are hoping that we will continue with a partnership with the national government to increase the number to about 28. So service delivery has been also good. We've had some challenges, of course, resources not being as we expected, but we have worked well with the county assembly, negotiating on the allocation and prioritization of our resources, to the extent, of course, you saw the control of budget saying that we are leading in terms of allocation with regards to development, and we are hoping to maintain that for the rest of the year.
There are lessons, I'm sure, that have come within your tenure as governor. Starting from the time you were at Treasury, you transited to Cabinet, now the CEO of a whole county. And that perhaps put you, without doubt, in a collision course with your fellow leaders, perhaps even from your agenda as well. Looking at the lessons that have come along the way as a trailblazer in this leadership position, what is that one thing or things that perhaps have informed or lessons that you've picked up along the way, even as your colleagues, female leaders, continue to have different opinions about leadership in this country?
I think what lesson we should learn is that leaders can be women, women can be leaders, and can be good leaders just like men can be, And I'm hoping that with my position as governor of Kirinyaga, with my performance at the county level, my performance as the chair of Council of Governors for 2 terms, that I am influencing the changes in the mindsets of Kenyans, that women can lead and can lead well. And now we have 7 women governors. And 7 women governors we hope to increase to 24 in the next election cycle. And we hope that by the 7 who are there, and that's why we came up with the G7 strategy, showcasing what they've done, will encourage other counties to give women the opportunity to lead and to make a difference. So I am hoping that that is what the influence of our women leadership has done with the transition. And the same also at cabinet level, and also at PS level, across the public service, and also in the private sector, that women will be given more opportunities because they show that they can actually deliver.
Governor, you served, of course, as COG chair for 2 terms, and there has been, of course, the biggest issue is there still isn't a very thin line on matters, separation of roles and powers between national and county governments. And as COG chair, did you observe or did you feel that perhaps devolution was, introduced too early? Or is it that there is a misunderstanding? Is it deliberate efforts to ensure that funds do not flow as is expected? Or is it the lack of goodwill? What exactly makes the cogs stall, as it were?
First of all, I don't think it has stalled. I think we've made progress from 2013 to now. I think we could have done better, but I think we've made progress. One of the challenges that we have had is that of resources. And I think one of our biggest challenges is a lack of understanding of what devolution was meant to do. And the issue of separation of powers between the legislature and the devolved functions or the executive. And the conflict therefore coming when you have to navigate between functions that should be carried out at the county level and the national level. The other challenge is a lack of understanding by certain individuals on what it means to devolve functions, clinging by some national departments to certain functions that should actually be given to county governments fully. Healthcare, for example, agriculture. Other than the functions that are listed as cross-cutting, such as matters to do with vaccination. I think the functions in terms of service delivery should be done fully at county level. And that lack of understanding, therefore, sometimes brings conflict between the county governments and the national government. But I believe that we've made strides. I think if we continue moving, continue pushing, we'll eventually get there. Leaders need to understand that you run for certain offices to execute certain mandates. And so if you're in the executive, you execute as an executive. If you're in the legislature, you execute as a legislature. And I think if we continue to stay focused on what the Constitution intended, I think we wouldn't have as many conflicts as we have sometimes.
Do you think that lack of understanding also draws to the fights between the legislative arms and the executive arms of counties? You having gone through the impeachment processes and seeing your colleagues as well, having gone through the impeachment process, do you think there is a misunderstanding as well about how to execute or participate in that constitutional process?
Well, I wouldn't say that that is what brings generally the conflict at the county level. Okay. I think a lot of the conflicts at the county level are political and not necessarily have to do with service delivery. And it's just sometimes just managing the political environment that we operate in.
Okay. And then what would, because Kenyans have seen you with the executive, the national government, and the issue of resources seems to be deviated and left to, more formal or more, if you could call it, structured conversations. Is it very difficult for counties to advocate for national government to ensure that the disbursements are made in time?
Yeah, I think we have had this conversation so many times, but I think the national government and the national treasury faces its own challenges. They disburse money because based on the resources that they have, and they have to prioritize. Sometimes you have teachers' salaries, I guess, and you have civil service salaries, and then there's county money as well. But the Constitution was very clear that county money should be given at a certain time, and it has not been possible to consistently maintain those timelines. They've tried right now because we've now gotten money up to November, which is really an improvement, despite the fact that there were delays in the beginning, of the financial year. So I think it is not something that you can resolve with a panacea. I think it is a continuous process of working towards, and as soon as the country is in a place where it's financially stable, in the sense that we are collecting enough revenue on time, we expect that those resolutions will be a little bit more faster, and we'll have less complaints from the counties in terms of delayed disbursements.
Okay, and the on-source revenue is, of course, a conversation that Kenyans have argued. There are counties that are able to get, to collect more. If you could give us a perspective of Kirinyaga, perhaps, what would be the visions of, as you exit 2024 to 2025, to ensure that you continue meeting the targets, and those that are maybe flopping, so that then when you collect, you're then not told, if possible, you have to wait for the shareable ones. If that conversation can be, Kirinyaga has collected this, let us be able to manage and do what we need to do with this amount.
I think that's a very simplistic reasoning.
Is that so?
It was never intended that counties should be funded by their own source revenue. That was never the intention. It was not in the Constitution, because if it was, then we should be collecting payee. But the payee of my staff goes to national government. There is tax that is collected at the county level that goes to national government. So it's a very simplistic reasoning for people to say that counties should collect enough money to run the counties. If that was so, we would be fully autonomous, like the United States, for example, where we collect taxes. All the taxes that are collected in Kirinyaga are put in one kitty for Kirinyaga, but that's not what happens. Housing levy is collected and goes national. Pay as you earn is collected and goes national. And the national taxes that are collected at county level go to national level. That is why we get equitable share. And I think the problem with us is sometimes we get very lazy in analyzing, and maybe that's why sometimes we don't respond all the time. And people just say that counties should collect enough revenue to run their county affairs. That was never envisioned by our structure of devolution. Our devolution system is not fully autonomous. It's a hybrid residential system, and the functions that are carried by the counties are not all the counties. For example, security is not fully devolved, you know. Police are not devolved, but they operate at county level. And so it's the system that we have, which is a hybrid, that requires that the national government, when it collects, allocates certain resources for certain functions to county government, because they collect across the country. Otherwise, then we would be a fully autonomous, like other countries, where you say a state is completely independent, collects all the revenue, and then they can run everything at the county level. So that wasn't envisioned by our constitution and was never really intended to be the system. So the on-source revenue has a limit. We only collect market fees and collect some parking fees, so we don't collect every tax, and therefore that is not sufficient money to run a county and provide service delivery at the county level.
Yeah, I brought that argument because of the issue of gain of the delayed funding, so that the resource allocation, so that what would be, in your perspective, having served as COG chair as well, what would be the ideal situation to try and resolve? I know you've mentioned about the latest disbursement being of November, which is last month, but what would be the ideal, perfect or seamless way of running counties that would then make CEOs of counties like yourself say, well, we are at a place that we can say we are able to pay salaries and also achieve development?
I think in terms of first the amount of money that is allocated. Yeah, we costed that at roughly 425, but because of the situation we found ourselves in, the national government said they're not going to be able to collect enough money. We went down to 400, and now we've been allocated equitable share of 387. That's still a shortfall. So therefore, that will make service delivery not be ideal. Okay? So, and then there's no country, I think, that has an ideal. There is no country that collects enough revenue to completely meet their needs, or even county. And I wouldn't expect that at a county level. Okay. So you work every year with that which you have, within the financial constraints that you have. And the only thing that we can do to make service delivery more seamless is to ensure that the disbursement to counties are done on time, which is expected by the Constitution and the law by 15th of the following month latest. If that would happen, service delivery will be a little bit more timely. Okay. Will it meet all our needs? No, because the resources will never really be enough. Yeah.
National politics, and as you can see in our country, it is very dynamic, as it were, especially since this current dispensation came in. And a lot has been happening. From where you sit, you've been really silent, and you've said you've been observing. Are you being very cautious?
No, I'm not being cautious. I think it's my personality. I don't jump at every issue to comment. I think there is a time for silence. There's a time to listen. And there's a time when you have nothing meaningful to add, not to add anything. Also, I'm guided by the good book. It says in a multitude of words, sin is not lacking. Sometimes it is wisdom to be silent and to listen a lot more and focus on that which needs to be done. So we've watched where we are politically. It is not, from what we hear, what Kenyans are saying, they don't want politics, they want service delivery. And for you to focus on service delivery, you have to be busy doing that which you were elected to do.
Yeah, you were among the very first, I think, to congratulate the current DP. And perhaps had things gone otherwise, this conversation we'll be having with you as Deputy President. How did that process, when you saw that flaunting, both external and internal factors, what was going on through your mind when names were being flaunted, even from early on in 2022 and even now? What was going through your mind when you looked at how the conversation on the third Deputy President was going?
Well, let me say it's a great honor to be considered. It's a great honor for people to discuss you as a possibility. It's an honor. And I don't take that for granted from the Kenyan people. I think they see the potential, confidence. There is no one single person who fits any position, you know. Most of the time we hold these positions as first amongst equals, you know. Whether it was me as chair of COG, I was first amongst equals. The current DP is the first amongst equals, you know. There could have been other people who would do that, but right now you've been given the privilege to serve. And I respect that. And so what goes on in my mind is if it's the will of God, it would happen, you know. I have work to do. I had work to do. I still have work to do for Kirinyaga people, which is what I am focused on right now. And then in future, we see where we go.
Would you ever consider taking up, going back into cabinet, into whichever role?
Not now.
Okay.
Certainly not now. Right now, I have work to do for Kirinyaga people. Until 2027, I have to finish right now what I need to do for Kirinyaga people. Yeah.
Some quarters would have argued, and we saw that, of course, I'm sure you saw on social media, that there was, an expectation from your side to either DP or a CS position. Was that in your plans or visions?
Never.
Okay.
There was never an expectation for CS. Never, ever.
And DP as well?
DP was a consideration from many people.
Okay.
So, no, I am very focused right now as governor of Kirinyaga County. And the issue of the DP passed, you know. And right now, until 2027, my focus is Kirinyaga County.
The issue of femicides has come up. The 16 days of activism against gender-based violence ended recently. And I'm curious to pick your mind about even how we're seeing the law enforcement specifically dealing with such issues, from responding to those who are protesting about those issues to dealing and mitigating with that. Do you think there is an awareness from both Kenyans, the citizenry, and law enforcement about how to deal with such a situation?
I think what they need is a lot more capacity building. I think we need to set up special units that deal with this matter, that have specially trained people who can handle this delicate issue of gender-based violence and the unfortunate situation of femicide. It's a very sensitive area that requires unique skills and also a sensitivity to our changing environment. But more than that, as a society, I think we need to address the root cause of what that is. You know, why are we having this problem? And how can we ensure that we actually don't get there? Where are our numbers going up instead of going down? And address it from a prevention point of view, as opposed to waiting until the issue happens and then we are dealing with the post.
As we wrap up the year, what would be your highlight as you take the break from perhaps official duties, and what will you be spending your time with during these festivities?
I am looking forward to a great time with family and friends, especially our children who don't live at home, and brothers and sisters and our parents, and friends who we haven't seen. So it will be a good break during this season, catch up, find out where people are at, and relax and rest. And I'm looking forward to some more frequent rounds of golf. I haven't played in like 2 months, so I would really looking forward to that.
Your fellow leaders have been releasing memoirs. Would you be expecting any from you at whatever point?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, there will be. That's for sure.
That's for sure. Perhaps you can, speak to the people of Kirinyaga and Kenyans at large and give them your Christmas message.
To the people of Kirinyaga and to the Kenyan people at large, I would like to take this opportunity to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous 2025. We are hoping for a better year next year. Let's keep our optimism and let's keep our faith in God. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Waiguru, Governor for Kirinyaga County, for speaking to us, and we wish you happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm George Maringa. Bye-bye for now.
All right, thank you so much, George Maringa, for that insightful conversation with the Kirinyaga County Governor, Anne Waiguru. We hope to take a tour to Kirinyaga County Government just to take a look at its health facilities. I hear 20 health facilities in that county are done and are operational, as well as the Kirinyaga Level 5 hospital. That's so impressive, and we hope to highlight that as well. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
Now in sports, Sofapaka claimed a demanding 2-0 victory over Bidco United in their FKF Premier League match played on Saturday afternoon at Dandora Stadium. Elsewhere, Tusker clobbered Posta Rangers 3-1. KCB secured a big win of 4-3 against Marash. end of our bulletin tonight. Many thanks indeed for keeping in TV47 Weekend Edition. Do have yourself a wonderful night and see you tomorrow, inshallah. My name is Odida, and on the sign language interpretation desk is Calvin Makori. See you tomorrow.
This December, learn about safety precautions to take into consideration this season.
If you can remember, if you drive on a motorcycle often, to make sure that you have a helmet, it's key to decreasing the severity of the accidents.
If you are passing in a bus from Kakamega to Mombasa, in between, just stand up, stretch your legs, and even when you are seated, keep pumping your feet, keep moving your feet to avoid that long stasis of blood in the veins.
Healthier options for you to maintain a balanced lifestyle amid the holiday hustle.
Eating healthy really doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself, but we really just have to factor on how to strike a balance. Portion control and moderation are very key. Let us enjoy the season, and at the same time, let us try to watch our health and our well-being.
Happy holidays.